Just a friend, right? If you asked me 5 years ago who Liam was to me, I would have said my best friend, my human diary, my late night ramen partner. But love, romance, passion. No, he was never that, or at least that's what I thought. We met in college. He was in business. I was in design. We had nothing in common, except the same humor and the same midnight craving for cheap pizza and life talks. He was the kind of guy who remembered if you liked your coffee with oat milk, who would walk you home even when you said you were fine, who never flirted, never crossed a line, but somehow always made you feel like you mattered. I dated a lot. Wrong men, wrong timing. The charming ones who ghosted, the toxic ones who loved the chase, the ones who said I was too emotional just because I asked for honesty. Through all of them, Liam was there, with tissues, with tequila, with playlists titled For When He's a Jerk. He never said I told you so, even when he could have, even when he should have. He just said, you deserve better, and you'll get it. I never noticed the way he looked at me then, the way he hesitated before letting go of a hug, the way he always sat just close enough but never too close. And then came Noah. Tall, suave, funny, manipulative. He swept me off my feet, said all the right things, met my parents, made me believe finally, this is it. Even Liam liked him, at first. But slowly, Noah changed. He stopped replying, started gaslighting, called me needy when I asked for time, mocked my work, flirted with others as a joke. And I stayed, because I wanted to prove I wasn't hard to love, because I thought if I left, I'd be alone again. Liam didn't say much, but one night after I cried on his shoulder for the third time that week, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, you're forgetting who you are, and I'm not going to watch you disappear just to keep a man who doesn't even see you. It hit me harder than anything Noah ever said, because Liam didn't yell, he never did, but when he was serious, his voice carried weight. That night, I packed my bags. I left Noah for good. I stayed at Liam's place for a week. He made me tea, ordered sushi, watched all my comfort movies without complaint. And for the first time in months, I could breathe again. One night, as we sat on his balcony, blankets over our legs, he said quietly, I've watched you break for people who never deserved your pieces. And maybe it's not my place to say this, but I never needed you to be perfect. I just wanted you to be okay. I turned to him, heart pounding. Something in his voice felt different. He wasn't just being kind, he was vulnerable, open, bare. And suddenly I saw it. Every late night, every comforting word, every time he picked me up when I didn't ask, every look he thought I'd never catch. He wasn't just a friend, he was home. Was he always the one? After that night on the balcony, I couldn't look at Liam the same way. Not because I didn't trust him, but because now I saw everything. The way he memorized my coffee order, even when I changed it 5 times. The way he remembered my mom's birthday when I forgot. The way he always kept one earbud out in case I needed to vent in the middle of his favorite song. I started to wonder how long. How long had he been loving me in silence and smiles, in all the ways I never noticed because I was too busy chasing sparks that only left me burnt. I opened an old photo folder, random shots, Liam and I on a road trip, me asleep in the passenger seat, and Liam driving, his hand resting on the gear shift. But his eyes, they were looking at me with a kind of softness you don't fake. Another picture, my graduation, my ex didn't show, Liam did. He brought flowers, the same ones my dad used to buy when I was little, and he didn't say a word when I cried on the stage. He just held my hand under the table like a silent promise. How did I not see it? How could I have missed it? Or maybe I didn't miss it. Maybe I just didn't think I deserved it. I started to notice more, the way he called me sunshine on my worst days, the way he never interrupted, even when I rambled about pointless things, the way he always gave me the last slice. Always. One night I asked him, just blurted it out, have you ever loved someone who didn't love you back? He didn't flinch, didn't ask why. He just said, yeah, for years. And the silence that followed said more than any love song ever could. I looked at him, at the man who knew me without the performance, without the makeup, without the heartbreak filters. And all I could whisper was, I'm sorry. He smiled, soft, sad, but understanding. Don't be. I never loved you so you would love me back. I just couldn't help it. And in that moment, the part of me that thought love had to hurt, had to chase, had to be dramatic, died. What if love wasn't about the chase? What if it was about showing up, about seeing someone when the rest of the world only looks through them? That night, I dreamed of him, not as my best friend, not as my shoulder to cry on, but as the man who never asked me to change because to him, I was already enough. What if I loved him too? I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, his voice echoed. I never loved you so you would love me back. I just couldn't help it. It was so simple, so quiet, but it shook me more than any grand confession ever had. Because that kind of love wasn't loud. It was patient, steady, unconditional. And suddenly, I couldn't stop asking myself, what if I loved him too? Not in the way I thought love was supposed to feel, but in the way he made me feel. Safe, soft, and tense. I started remembering things, not just moments, but how I felt in them. Like the time I lost my job and he showed up with 3 pints of ice cream, 2 stupid movies, and 1 line that broke me. You're allowed to fall apart, I'll hold the pieces. Or when I was sick and he stayed up all night holding a thermometer in one hand and my hand in the other. How many men had I cried over, while the one who wiped my tears never once asked for anything in return? And why now? Why was my heart waking up now? Was it guilt or clarity? Was I falling for Liam because I was finally ready to love someone good? Or because I realized I had loved him all along, just never gave myself permission to admit it? I needed air, so I left the apartment, walked to our old coffee spot, the one with the bad lattes and the great couches, and he was there. As if my heart had summoned him, as if it knew I couldn't answer these questions alone. He looked up, eyes tired, smile soft, but there, always there. Hey, I said, trying to sound normal while my heart thrashed in my chest. He nodded. Want a latte with too much cinnamon? I smiled, he remembered. Of course he did. We sat, talked about nothing for 10 minutes. The weather, a dumb meme, the weird new barista with the handlebar mustache. But under every word, something buzzed, tense, trembling, tender. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, so I said it. Liam, what if I was just scared to love someone who wouldn't leave? What if I didn't know what to do with love that actually stayed? He looked at me, really looked, then whispered, then I'll stay until you figure it out. No pressure, no timeline. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm just here. And I started to cry because I realized I already loved him. Not because he stayed, but because somehow, through all my chaos, I had built a home in him and never even noticed. I reached for his hand, held it tight. You're not just here, Liam. You've always been here, and maybe I've always been a little bit in love with you, too. He didn't react dramatically. He just smiled, that soft, quiet, relieved kind of smile you give when the person you love finally comes home. Maybe love was always this quiet. We didn't kiss that night. We didn't rush. We didn't say I love you or plan forever. We just sat, my hand in his, my heartbeat finally calm. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I had to fight for love. I just let it in. In the days that followed, nothing changed, but somehow everything did. He still sent me memes, still reminded me to drink water, still knocked on my door with my favorite croissant on rainy days. But now, his eyes lingered a little longer. My laugh leaned into his shoulder without asking, and the silence between us wasn't filled with questions anymore. It was filled with an understanding. People started to notice, and my mom said, "You look softer these days." My coworker teased, "You smile like someone who has a secret." I did, and his name was Liam. But still, we took it slow, because we knew this wasn't about starting something new. It was about finally recognizing what had always been there. I remember one morning and I woke up to a text. Look outside. There he was on the sidewalk, holding coffee, wearing the world's ugliest sweater, the one I bought him as a joke last Christmas. I laughed so hard I snorted. He waved like an idiot. I waved back, and in that exact moment, I knew this was love. Not because it was perfect, not because it was dramatic, but because it was consistent, safe, kind. That night, I cooked for him, badly. He still said it was the best thing he ever ate. I rolled my eyes. You're such a liar. He leaned closer, smirked. I never lied to you. I just waited for you to see me. I swallowed hard. My hands trembled, but my heart didn't. I see you now, Liam. I see everything. And this time we kissed. Soft, certain, no fireworks, just warmth. The kind that stays even after the moment ends. Later that night, as we laid on the couch, fingers intertwined, he whispered, "So does this mean I'm finally out of the friend zone?" I laughed, rested my head on his chest. "No, silly, it means the friend zone just turned into home." And for the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing love. I wasn't performing for it. I wasn't begging to be seen. I was just loved. And maybe love was always this quiet, this steady, this real. We deserved this love all along. Liam and I didn't kiss that night. Not because we didn't want to, but because we both knew this love deserved more than just a kiss. It deserved to begin with intention. The next morning, I woke up on his couch, wrapped in the blanket he always kept for me. He had made coffee, oat milk, 2 sugars, of course. He sat across from me, not with his usual casual grin, but with that quiet seriousness he wore only when something really mattered. "I don't want to rush you," he said. "I don't want to be a rebound. I don't want to be the safe choice." I blinked. "Is that what you think this is?" He looked down. "No, but I need to hear it from you because loving you from afar was hard. But losing you up close would destroy me." My throat closed up because I knew that fear. I'd lived it, felt it. And yet, "Liam," I said softly, "you were never the rebound. You were the reason I survived them." He finally smiled, that real smile that reached his eyes and made me feel like everything was going to be okay. The next few days were awkward, beautiful, new. We learned how to relearn each other, not as best friends, but as something more. What did hand-holding mean now? Was a forehead kiss still casual? Was cuddling during movies still just friends? Or now something else? We laughed, a lot, blushed even more. There were moments we bumped into old patterns and then had to pause, look at each other, and remember, we're allowed to love each other now. But healing doesn't always wait for permission, and neither does doubt. One evening, we went to a friend's engagement party. It was the first time we showed up as a couple. I felt eyes, whispers, people smiling like it was about time. Then someone said, "Wow, so you two finally made it happen. Honestly, we all thought Liam would just stay your backup forever." The word backup hit like a slap. Liam laughed it off, but I saw the flicker in his eyes. The one that said, "Is that what they think? Or what you think too?" That night, he was quiet. Too quiet. I couldn't stand it, so I asked, "Are you okay?" He paused, then looked at me, really looked. "Do you still see me as the guy who was always just there when someone else failed you?" I was stunned. Because I didn't, but maybe this. I hadn't said it loud enough, and so I took his hands, pressed them to my chest. "Liam, listen to me. You weren't my backup. You were my constant, the one who never failed me. I didn't choose you because others hurt me. I chose you because loving you finally felt like coming home to myself." His eyes softened. He exhaled. And this time, he kissed me. Not gentle, not rushed, but full, certain, honest. Like we were sealing a promise that had been written long before we realized we were even in love. And in that moment, I knew. No matter what anyone else thought, this love wasn't an accident. It was destiny with perfect timing. Loving him out loud, I used to think love was silent, a look, a gesture, a presence. But being with Liam made me realize love deserves a voice. It deserves to be said, to be known, to be celebrated. So I started small. One morning, I brought him coffee before he could do it for me. He blinked, surprised. "Wow, this is new." I grinned. New me, the girlfriend who actually gives first sometimes. He laughed, but there was something in his smile, a quiet kind of gratitude. At dinner, when the waiter asked how long we'd been dating, I didn't hesitate. He's my boyfriend. We've known each other forever, but we're finally brave enough to love each other right. Liam almost choked on his drink. I just winked. I started posting pictures of us. The world had always seen us as the duo, the besties, but now they saw the way his hand held mine, the way I leaned into him, the way he looked at me like he still couldn't believe I chose him. We were happy, but happiness, I learned, comes with maintenance. And part of that is facing the uncomfortable parts of yourself. One night, as we sat watching an old movie, he kissed my shoulder and whispered, "You know what scares me?" I turned to him. "What?" "That one day you'll wake up and miss the chaos, the thrill, the broken love you used to chase." It stung, not because he was wrong, but because part of me had once believed that too. I turned off the TV, sat up. "Liam, I chased Cass because I didn't think I deserved calm. I mistook unpredictability for passion, but with you, I've learned that peace can be passionate too. That trust can be thrilling, that love can be soft and still shake me." He didn't say anything at first, just looked at me, like I was a sunrise he didn't expect to see again. Then he pulled me into him and whispered, "You're doing it." "Doing what?" "Loving me out loud." From then on, I made it a habit. I left notes in his laptop bag. "You're my favorite part of every day." I sent random texts. "I still can't believe I get to call you mine." I kissed him for no reason, hugged him a little longer, held his hand even in crowded rooms. And the more I loved him out loud, the more I fell in love. Because love, when it's given freely, grows. One evening, we stood on the rooftop of our building, the city glowing below. He looked at me and asked, "Where were you all those years ago?" I smiled. Right beside you, but with my heart turned off. Now it's wide open and it's all yours." He didn't respond. He just pulled out a small velvet box. My heart stopped. But when he opened it, there was no ring, just a tiny golden key. "It's to my apartment, but also to everything I am. You don't need to move in right away. I just want you to know you're not just in my life, you are my life." And just like that, I cried, not because I was overwhelmed, but because for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to earn love. I just had to receive it, opening the door to forever. The key sat on my nightstand for 3 days. Not because I didn't want to use it, but because I understood what it meant. It wasn't just a key to his apartment. It was a key to something deeper. A life, a future, a version of love that required presence, not just passion. I finally used it on a rainy Thursday. My umbrella flipped, my hair was soaked, I looked like a mess. But when I stepped inside, Liam was standing in the kitchen, wearing my apron, stirring pasta sauce and singing off-key to old R&B. He looked up, eyes widened. "Hey, you used it." I nodded, dripping, smiling. "I guess this means I'm home." He didn't say anything. He just walked over, wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "You always were." We started living together after that. And like all good things, it wasn't perfect. I left dishes in the sink. He left the toilet seat up. He played the same 3 songs on repeat while working. I talked during movies. He secretly liked it. We argued over toothpaste caps and closet space and how to fold towels the right way. But every night, we went to bed knowing we were choosing each other over and over again. Living together didn't feel like a test. It felt like a promise being kept in tiny, quiet ways. Him making coffee before I woke up, me ironing his shirts without him asking. Him rubbing my back when I couldn't sleep. Me placing his phone on silent during his naps. We hosted game nights, cooked meals together, got into competitive debates about takeout versus cooking. Once, during a thunderstorm, the power went out. We lit candles and danced in the living room like we were in our own little music video. No cameras, no one watching, just us, finally safe in something that didn't need to be flashy to be beautiful. But even forever has its fragile moments. I got a call from an old job, a dream opportunity in another state, design director, huge raise, big chance. And I froze. Because 5 years ago, I would have said yes without blinking. But now, I wasn't just me anymore, I was us. That night I told Liam. His face didn't change, no anger, no guilt tripping. He just asked, "What do you want?" I looked at him, at the man who always chose me, at the life we were building. And I said, "I want everything, but mostly I want you in it." He reached into the drawer, pulled out a folded envelope. Inside, a plane ticket to the same city. Jesse! And say, same date, no return. I blinked. "You already..." He smiled. "I had a feeling. I didn't want you to have to choose between your dream and me, so I chose you first." I cried, obviously, ugly, joyful, messy tears. Because love like that, that's not fantasy, that's faith. We moved 2 months later. New apartment, new coffee shops, new routines. But one thing stayed the same, him and me, still loving each other out loud. The love that found its way home. It's been a year since we moved, a year since I said goodbye to who I thought I had to be, and said hello to the woman I became with him beside me. Liam and I built a new life. Not perfect, not always easy, but ours. We decorated our apartment with mismatched frames and handmade notes. We burned pancakes on Sundays and danced barefoot in the kitchen. There was no grand announcement, no flashy milestones, just quiet mornings and forehead kisses and the kind of love that doesn't need to shout to be heard. But one night, he asked me to dress up. "Nothing fancy," he said, "just something that makes you feel beautiful." I wore the red dress he once said made me look like sunset and danger. He wore his favorite Navy suit, the one that made him look like someone who means it. He drove us to the lake, where we first picnicked as friends years ago, where I once cried about a breakup and he just sat there, letting me fall apart without trying to fix me. This time I cried too, but for a different reason. He knelt down, pulled out a box. No speech, no performance. Just eyes that knew me better than I knew myself. And 3 words. "Marry me, Elle." I laughed through tears. "You didn't even ask if I'd say yes." He grinned. "You've been saying yes since the first time you called me at 3 a.m. and asked if I had snacks." We laughed, then I said it clearly. "Yes, to the snacks, to the life, to you." Our wedding was small, intimate, full of people who knew the before and witnessed the after. Mia cried the hardest. My mom whispered, "I always knew he was the one." We didn't write vows, we just spoke. I said, "Thank you for loving me before I loved myself, for waiting when I wasn't ready, for staying without asking anything in return. You were always there, I just needed time to turn around and see you." He said, "You were never late. You were becoming the version of you that could choose me back. And now I get to choose you every day. And that's all I ever wanted." We danced under fairy lights, and I remember thinking, I didn't find love. I grew into it, and when I was ready, it was still there, and still him. Sometimes people ask us, "What's the secret?" We look at each other and smile, because there is no secret, just two people who never gave up, who learned that love doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like folding laundry together, laughing at the same bad joke, and knowing that no matter where life takes you, you already found home in someone who never left. The end.